Om Swastiastu. Hello everybody. In this video, I'm gonna teach you some English. I'm gonna teach you English grammar. But I think some of you think that grammar is hard, right? So I hope I make it really simple for you to understand. So let's get started. Okay, in this video, I'm gonna teach you about conditional sentence. So before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Nadindya Mahadewi, and you can call me Nadine. I'm in 2C class and NIM 1912-02-11-39. And I make this video for my final project in Basic English Grammar. So let's move on to the material. Okay, for this material, we are gonna talk about two chapters. And for the first chapter is definition of conditional sentence, and the second chapter is part of conditional sentence. And for the last chapter, we are gonna do an exercises. Okay, let's move on to the first chapter. Okay, for the first chapter, we are gonna talk about definition of conditional sentence. Do you know what is conditional sentence? Conditional forms are used to predict something that can happen, something that might be happen, and something that we expect to be happen. Complete conditional sentence contain a conditional clause or often referred to as the if clause and the consequences. So in Indonesian, conditional sentence called kalimat pengandaian. And let's talk about the second chapter. Let's move on to the second chapter. Okay, in the second chapter, we are gonna talk about part of the conditional sentence. In conditional sentence, there are four types that are type 0, type 1, type 2, and type 3. Okay, for the first type, we are gonna talk about type 0. And let's move on to the type 0. Okay, for the first type, we're gonna talk about type 0. Zero conditional sentence express general truth situation in which one thing always causes another. When you are use zero conditional sentence, you are talking about general truth rather than a specific intent of something. So for the rules is, for the if clause, use if plus simple present, and for the main clause, use simple present. The zero conditional sentence is used to make a statement about a real world and often refers to general truths such as scientific facts. In this sentence, the time is now or always, and the situation is real and possible. So let's take a look for the example. For the first example, if it's rain, the grass gets wet. So if it's rain is a if clause, use if plus simple present, and the grass gets wet is a main clause that use simple present. So let's take a look for the second example. If you hit ice, it melts. So both of the example is true, right? There are 100% right. So let's move on to the second type. Okay, for the second type is type 1. So the type 1 conditional sentence refers to a possible condition and its probable result. These sentences are based on the fact and they used to make a statement about the real world and about particular situation. We often use this sentence to give warning, and this type 1 of conditional sentence, the time is the present or future and the situation is real. So let's take a look for the rules. So for the main clause, use simple future, which is as plus will plus verb 1 plus object, and the if clause use if plus simple present, that is if plus subject plus verb 1 plus object. So for the example, for the first example is if I go to the movie, I will eat popcorn. So if I go to the movie is a if clause using if plus simple present, and I will eat popcorn is a main clause that use simple future. So for give warning, we can use sentence like we will be in a big problem if we don't follow the rules. So and now let's move on to the third type. Okay, for the third type is type 2. For the second conditional sentence refer to an unlikely or hypothetical condition and its probable result. These sentences are not based on a fact, and second conditional sentence are used to refer to preposition and possible outcomes. So in conditional type 2, the if clause use simple past and the main clause use simple past future. So let's take a look for the rules. So for the main clause is as plus would plus verb 1 plus object, and for the if clause is if plus subject plus verb 2 plus object. So let's take a look for the example. So for the first example is I would buy a luxurious car if I had $1 million. So it's a pretty unreal, right? Because now I don't have $1 million, and if I had $1 million, I will buy house first, I think. So let's move on to the second example. For the second example is if some student were present, I wouldn't talk them. So take a note for this type. For conditional type 2, we to be were or was can be used in third singular person such as she, he, it. And for the example is if I were the doctor, I will treat you. So let's move on to the last type. For the last type, we are gonna talk about type 3. So type 3 conditional refers to an impossible condition in the past and its probable result in the past. These conditions are truly hypothetical and unreal because it is now too late for the condition or its result to exist. There is always some implication of regret in the sentence, and in this type, the time is in the past and the situation is hypothetical. So let's see for the rules. So for the main clause, use subject plus would plus have plus verb 3 plus object, and the if clause use if plus subject plus had plus verb 3 plus object. Okay, let's take a look for the example. For the first example, if she would have called you if you had given your number to her. So she would have called you is a main clause using a present perfect. And for the if clause, if you had given your number to her is using if plus past perfect. And take a look for the second example. If I had found her address, I would have sent her an invitation. So both of the examples sounds like regretting, right? Yeah. Okay, for the last chapter, we are gonna do an exercises. So let's take a look for our question in our exercises, and let's start from number 1. So number 1 is if I had known you before, I'll tell blah 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 my feelings. Do you know what type is it? This is a type 3. So refers to the rule, there will be would have told. So the sentence is gonna be if I had known you before, I would have told you my feelings. So let's move on to the number 2. If you speak blank 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 English, you will get along with them perfectly. So for the number 2, do you know what type is it? The number 2 is type 1. So the answer will be if you speak English, you will get along with them perfectly. So for the last number is if she go blank 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 to school, the dog feels sad. Do you know what type is it? This is type 0. So refers to the rules, the answer will be if she goes to the school, the dogs feel sad. And that's all about our exercises. Okay, that's all about an explanation about conditional sentence. I hope this video make you understand about conditional sentence and you don't have to worry to study about grammar, and let's study together. Bye bye. Om Santi 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 Om.